when you have minimal clouds in the month of May. In fact, I think it was like late April, early May. It's something like a 10 or 15% chance of having a clear day here at the Tetons. So anyway, it's a beautiful day. I do not want to leave here. This is, I mean, man, I feel so much peace. I feel so close to God when I'm here in the mountains as opposed to being elsewhere. So anyway, hello everyone. Hello Danette. Hello Ann Angel. Hello Tina Marie. Hello Diana. In fact, Tina Marie, if you could share this in the Jezebel support group as well as the Restored to Freedom page, that would be greatly appreciated. So thank you so much. Hello Natalie Jackson. Speaking of the Jacksons, I know Tina Marie, her maiden name is Jackson. I am just up the road from Jackson, Wyoming. I love the town. I have partaken of barbecue every night that I've been here, but I don't eat lunch, and I still exercise. So anyway, it's a beautiful day here. Beautiful. It's right now, temperatures are probably, I don't know, 43, 45, something like that. And with the sun, it feels warm. So it's perfect. And I have just enjoyed my last couple days here on a quasi-vacation. I was in Yellowstone yesterday. I've been there. This is my 4th trip to Yellowstone, and I highly recommend that everyone make a trip to Yellowstone because you will run into bison or they'll run into you. Every time I've come here, I've always seen the bison, and yesterday I saw one about, I don't know, 20 feet away from my car that was just minding his own business all by himself, which you don't normally see bison by themselves. And then I went on to see Old Faithful. In fact, it was funny because Old Faithful only shoots up about every hour and a half, and I got there right at the end, right as it was like starting to die down, and I was like, oh, no. Now I have to wait 90 more minutes. So I waited it out. Fortunately, they had a heated center there. They had a ton of snow that you could tell it had been buried, that center. And they closed down their Old Faithful Inn. They don't reopen it until, I think it's like mid or late May before they do that. And in fact, the south side of the park is closed until May the 10th. I think also the northeast side might be closed as well. So I had to come in on the west side, West Yellowstone, Montana. In fact, I'll share this. So I was stopping to get some coffee at one of their cute little quaint coffee, what do you call those places? Coffee shacks, I think. And the lady that served me, after I placed the order, she said that I needed to sign for it. And she thought that was kind of ridiculous to sign for $5, you know, for a credit card transaction. And I told her that I also have like my iPad that I have people that sign for books, but I said that they don't have to sign once it's like $30 or less. I said it just asks if they want to have a receipt. And so she's like, wow. She goes, we should have that as a part of our deal. I'm like, yeah, you should. And then I told her, you know, I use that because she asked me why I did that. And I said, well, because I'd written some books. And she's like, oh my gosh, how many books? And I'm like, I'm not sure. I said, I think it's like 9 or 10. I said, they're in a couple different languages. So anyway, she was very interested, and she said, what's your name? I would like to like read your books. And I told her what the books were about, and she was very interested. So another divine appointment that comes out of nowhere. But then I went again to see Old Faithful. I had to wait for an hour and a half, and it sure enough came back shooting up again. And then I went from there to go to the Canyon Village because I remembered when I was had my chillin' and my wife with me. We went on a family trip because my son was in a karate tournament, a national karate tournament in Salt Lake City. And afterwards, we extended it to go to Yellowstone. And so I wanted to see where they had this lower waterfall that's like really impressive. And so I went to this one place where it said that, you know, danger, 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 Will Robinson. Didn't say Will Robinson, but for those of you that know that show, Lost in Space, those of you that are younger than, I don't know, 50 may not remember that show. So, anyways, there was a guy that was standing there, and he said that he had used these poles, and he had hiking boots, and it was very icy, very dangerous. But I think he hiked down like 600 feet, which would take forever to get a closer shot of the river and stuff. And so I decided to walk not that far, maybe 150 feet, and got some pictures, but it wasn't the same angle that I recalled. And it was very cold, very windy. Temperatures had to have been mid 20s up there with a wind chill of close to zero. I mean, it was really cold. So then I ended up driving further on down and stopping. And then he happened to do the very same thing. And we got a better shot of the waterfall, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, exactly what I was remembering. So then I ended up going a little bit further, and then I saw it. It was the exact same spot that I had taken with my family. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And it was super windy up there on top and super cold. And I volunteered to take pictures of him and his wife, and he took a couple of pictures of me. And turned out we started chatting, found out that he was from Fort Wayne, Indiana, where I grew up, just west of Fort Wayne, Columbia City. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are the chances of that happening? Well, to me, it's like, I don't know, 100% chance. It's like wherever I go, God has amazing divine connections that happen. So anyway, he was a great guy, and they had an RV that they were getting fixed. I think they got it fixed in Napanee, Indiana, which is where they make a lot of RVs. Like the RV capital of the world was Elkhart and Goshen and Napanee up in northern Indiana. So anyways, all that to be said that I thoroughly had fun. The Lord spoke to me up on top of Yellowstone, said, I want you to just enjoy yourself, feel the peace, and don't even think about ministry. Because you think about Jesus, a lot of times he had to get away, go to the mountains, and talk to his Father. And I'm sure he was like not fretting, worrying over, gee, how am I going to get this? All my disciples, a couple of them are knuckleheads. Gee, they say things that they shouldn't be saying. Are they ever going to learn, before I die and am no longer in this world? So anyways, I ended up enjoying getting back last night, having some more barbecue. And this is my last few hours in the Jackson Hole area. And I noticed when I woke up this morning that there were like no clouds. And I was like, huh, in fact, there's a cloud like right above my head. How funny is that? So it's a very rare air to have no clouds here on the Teton peaks at this time of year. It becomes a little more common during the summer months, but of course they have thunderstorms and so forth too. But anyway, it's a beautiful, gorgeous day. I decided I will do a Facebook Live, even though I wasn't planning to. And I'm like, Lord, what should I talk about? And he said, I want you to talk about how Jesus came to separate the real Christians from the fake. Because just like in his days, there were those that were the evil Pharisees, that were the prideful ones who loved to control and manipulate and dominate those that came to their various synagogues and places. And not all of them. Some of them had good hearts, but there were those that were the wicked ones. And what did they do to up there goes a plane. Boss, the plane, the plane. Jackson Hole has an airport not far from here. I mean, this would be a beautiful place to like live and then fly out of here. Anyways, who hated him? Well, it was those that had demons that were speaking to them, and they actually ultimately killed him. They would lie about him. They would do everything. So obviously the example that Jesus set was that he had to go through a lot of hell, a lot of things he didn't want to go through. Paul had to go through it. Remember, Paul wanted his thorn from his side taken away, which was the messenger sent to buffet him by Satan, which I believe it was a lady that had Jezebel that was like coming against what he was preaching and trying to probably curse him and lie about him and stuff. And so ultimately, the Lord wouldn't take her away, just like there's a lot of people in our lives that the Lord has not taken away from us, that we have to endure and put up with. And it's not fun, especially when you're trying to do the Lord's work as best you can. And again, no one's perfect. So it doesn't mean that you may end up, and I may end up doing some things we shouldn't be doing. But those of us that have a right mindset with the Lord would then ask for forgiveness, and to continue to do the Lord's work. But it's those that have the spirits of Jezebel and Leviathan, and that are controlling and manipulative and lying, and they view their enemies as those that are truly the real Christians, that are trying to help people get set free, that are trying to get people delivered and trying to do their best. And it's a nonstop challenge. I've seen, again, I don't know how many thousands that have been set free and delivered through the ministry of Restorative Freedom, but that's the goal the Lord has set before me, is he wants millions to be set free and delivered before Christ comes back, because there's too many people in the church that are not pure and spotless, that are not godly, that are even witches. Believe it or not, witches and warlocks that are evil, that are sent into the churches to deceive people. In fact, I released an article, I shared an article. Andy Sanders from Charisma had done a podcast, and I saw that as of, I think it was yesterday. So I decided to post that today, because it's real. There are people out there on Facebook Live, on YouTube, that are teaching people things that sound good, but they want to pray for you, they want to touch you, they want you to come to their homes, their lairs, their quote-unquote churches that they have, because a lot of them have been found out in the churches. But there are several that are obviously, several. There's 1.5 million in the United States, so there's a lot that are in the church. And when they're discovered, they oftentimes move, go to a different place, and try to do their evil work again. And so it's up to people that are discerning to see through that. And oftentimes it's extremely hard, because they're going to act all sweet and nice to you, the first time that you hear them, or the first time that you meet them. So sometimes you may not even know it until you spend some time with them. You may be able to discern some things that they teach on Facebook, because they sound weird. They may be trying to impress you with their super spirituality, but oftentimes you can see right through that. You can feel a little bit sickness into your stomach. You may feel nauseousness. You may feel tired if you listen to their stuff. So it's important to ask the Lord for a temperature check on what is true, what is fake. And, that's what really Jesus came. I'm going to read this. Luke 12:49-53 says, I came to send fire on the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how distressed I am till it is accomplished. Do you suppose that I came to give peace on earth? I tell you, not at all, but rather division. Jesus came to divide? Oh, I thought he was all about peace. Well, why would that be? Think, 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 think. Think, 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 think. As a cloud is up here above my head. Why would that be? It says, I tell you, not at all, but rather division. So Jesus came to divide. And a lot of people were like, well, why would he do that? Is he really bad? No, he's good. But there are people out here in the world, in the bad lands. I've been to the bad lands. And there can be people that have demons that are in the church, and their hearts and their minds are wicked. And they want to hurt good people, godly people. That's what their assignment is to come into the church and to get their way, to have their way, to try to get into position in leadership in the churches. They would love to be like a worship leader, just like another person we know that got kicked out of heaven. Lucifer, who then became Satan. Yes, so they would love to, marry someone who has got a ministry, who is a godly person, so that they can ruin the ministry, so they can lie about you and hurt you. So he goes on to say, I tell you, not at all, but rather division. For from now on, 5 in one house will be divided. 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. Father will be divided against son, and son against father. Mother against daughter, and daughter against mother. Mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. That's Luke 12:49-53. And that's exactly what I've seen throughout my ministry. is when a family of demon-controlled people who are in the church have a child, we'll say, or it could be a husband or wife that gets delivered, then everyone else that still is being tormented by these demons are going to hate them. They're going to come against myself, my ministry, and trying to hurt, by lying and so forth. And so don't be surprised when you get delivered if you have some people that you know that you can no longer be very close to anymore. Why? Because they are not close to the Lord. They are being influenced by demons, and they do not want to get delivered, the demons in them. That's why it's such a challenge with the ministry of deliverance, of Restored to Freedom, and others that are out there with their own deliverance ministries, to get people set free, because those demons within them will come against those trying to get them set free. You think about it like a pit bull. Pit bulls normally are like clowns. They like to have fun and joke around and stuff. But if you beat a pit bull as they're growing up and hurt them, injure them, then what happens? They become violent. They become angry. They want to kill you. Just like people. When people grow up and they get hurt by daddy wounds and mommy wounds and sexual violations and stepfathers, stepmothers, just wounded by people that have demons, then they're going to be influenced by those demonic voices in their head, causing them to hurt people, especially those in the church, because that's what Jezebel wants to do, is to come into the church, shut down the true Holy Spirit, and accuse you, because they love their accusations. Lying, deceiving, half-truths, 10% truths, so forth and so on. By the way, I really can't see the comments unless I get really, really close, because the sun is in my eye. Got the sun in my eye. On a clear day, you can see forever. And this is one of those days. In fact, I will show you guys at the end what I'm looking at. This would be a great place to have a house, except I'm inside of a national park. And I think they would frown upon having a house built here, probably. Did you know I think it's like less than 10%, 15% of land here is like owned privately. Oh, it's windy. Sorry about that. That will stop the effective hearingness of you, and I don't want that. So maybe I'll have to put my iPad up here to block the wind. It's about a 7 to 8 mile an hour wind. Anyway, came out of nowhere. Maybe the Holy Spirit is blowing. Anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. So the whole topic today is count it all joy when you go through various trials and tribulations. That means you're being effective, and that the enemy hates you just like he hated Jesus, just like he hated Paul. And if you have to die, so be it. At least you'll be in heaven faster. But I'm sure that the Lord will keep you here longer. So you may have to go through some torment. And it is sad when you have people that supposedly act like they're in the church, like they're very godly, and they're not. That's what the Lord is doing. He's purifying those in the church right now, because we need a pure and spotless bride. There's a lot of people that aren't. So anyway, if you, and I've seen this, if you get delivered, don't be surprised if your mom or dad, if they still have demons, are going to be mad at you, are going to try and come against you. You may have to love them from afar. Like you may have to climb up to the top of that mountain there, the Grand Tetons, to the very peak, and say, "Hi, Dad, hi, Mom," from afar. "You're not going to hurt me anymore. I would love you to come along with me and get delivered, but if you won't, as for me and my house, I'm going to serve the Lord." And so sometimes you have to do that. I've seen, again, a lot of people that have gotten delivered, and their spouse, of course, that has demons is going to manifest even worse and get more angry and accuse you. So you may end up having to separate for your own good and for their own good. Because oftentimes I've seen this where people that are married to people that have Jezebel, strong Jezebels, that refuse to admit to look in the mirror at themselves, that they have a problem. They will accuse you of being a Jezebel. They will lie about you. And you enable them by staying with them. The Lord ultimately called me to separate after 6 years. I lasted the longest of my wife's previous husbands. And so ultimately, the Lord called me away to separate. And I'm like, I don't want to separate. I want her delivered. He's like, well, it's not going to work that way. She's got a free will. I'm like, well, override her free will. He's like, nope, can't do that. He goes, you need to separate. When you separate, I'll start to set the ministry up through you. It will grow rapidly around the world, and people will hear about it, and they will jump on the restorative freedom train, the bandwagon, and get set free. And then those that don't, they will hate those that are set free and delivered. So we cannot tolerate, though, Jezebel and Leviathan hurting us. We may have to separate. We don't want to, but if we do, what will happen is one of two things. Either the person will humble themselves and choose to get delivered and join you in the freedom, or they will keep their demons. And then it may become permanent separation. So that's up to the Lord to confirm when and where. But again, then at that point, you get to do what the Lord calls you to do. There's a lot of people that ultimately put marriage and their spouse ahead of God. We can't do that. I know I couldn't do that. For a season, I did what I was supposed to do. But the Lord finally said, you're not going to be able to do any ministry if you stay in that. And that's true. So the same thing with you and your family members. If you have a father or mother that are strong in the demonic. And again, what does demons look like in a person? I should probably do a teaching about that. Because a lot of people think they go crazy. They throw knives and glasses. They scream at you. I know what that's like. Yes, they can do that. But more often than not, they'll be very calm, but they'll say things that will come against you to try to control you in a way that seems nice. And if you allow them to, and oftentimes they're going to be prideful. They're going to be rebellious. In fact, in Andy Sanders' article and his podcast that I shared earlier, he talks about a woman that came into this church and wanted to be on staff, and the senior pastor didn't want it, and then ultimately led to his separation from the church. And then ultimately, he had to deal with that person, and they manifested inside of this office. And how a person manifests, it can be different, but normally it's going to be, where they raise their voice, they have a tone, they demand, they can go crazy, they can really throw things and so forth. But oftentimes it's just raising their voice and tone. And they could even threaten and say, I'm going to lie about you and tell other people. I mean, they could tell you their plan, but normally they don't do that. They just start lying about you to other people. And they get the people to believe it. And then before you know it, you're sad. You're like, why didn't I dismiss this person a long time ago? Why didn't I take action? Why? Because oftentimes people are Ahabs. And the Ahabs tolerate, put up with it, let things go way too long. And before you know it, damage is done. And that's how Jezebel works. It tries to stop the good people from teaching and preaching and loving, and then the bad people get to take over. And they get to hurt other people, and eventually they try to surround themselves with more Jezebels in the church, and then the Jezebels are like, yes, we win! But then all the good people end up leaving, and then they have a church split. So that's truth. It's what happens. And it's a constant battle. I can't wait until Christ returns, and then we have all the demons gone, and then we can rule in peace and have fun and go to these mountains and sled and ski and laugh and no more striving, fighting, and arguing. Oh my gosh, what a novel way to live, like a real Christian, not a fake. So the Lord wants us to be real, not fake. There's enough fakes that are out there, and their goal is to tarnish your reputation, to get other people to believe their lies. In fact, I posted that yesterday and resonated with a lot of people, because that's what they do. They want to lie, and they can oftentimes lie better than you can tell the truth about what they do, because most people think it's absurd. That person isn't like that. They're a loving person. They just gave me, A, B, and C to buy you and buy your allegiance. So be careful about what you receive. And if they're a witch, they'll give you things that they've already cursed. And then you all of a sudden have pains in your body, pains in your back, pains in your sciatic, pains in your shoulders. You feel tired and exhausted, and you don't know why. You go to the doctors. Doctors are saying, oh, gee, I'm not sure what it is. The doctors don't say, oh, gee, it could be witchcraft. Doctors need to be taught this, and then they can be more effective, just like the chiropractors and medical doctors. A couple of them do refer people to my ministry, and we're seeing some successes there, and that is great. So anyhow, in fact, I'll say this, I'll talk about this. So there was a lady, I had posted that also on my Restorative Freedom page, and I don't know this lady, but she was saying that narcissists are different than Jezebel, and she didn't quite understand the spiritual components. And I said, listen, because she's like, it's a personality disorder. I'm like, no. I said, when people get delivered from demons, their personalities change. They become more sweet, more lovable, honest, humble. They're a different person. So it's not a personality disorder, it is a demonic issue. And when you get to the root issue, people change. That's why we've seen so many people when they go through deliverance that you don't even recognize them. That's what the pastor said last weekend, that this guy got delivered. Him and his wife came, and he said that he was like a changed person. He was different. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens. Praise the Lord. When you get set free, you are a different person. I'm getting tired of holding my iPad, so let me rest. It's not that windy right now. In fact, I feel like I'm all by myself. Got the whole park to play in. You know, and they do have signs that say, be careful, there could be bears. So if anyone sees a bear behind me, let me know. Give me at least a couple seconds notice, because I'm a pretty far distance from my car right now. It's so quiet here. I'm going to show you, let you guys see. It's so pretty. Ready? Ding. Climb every mountain. Wow, there's a cloud up there, a big cloud. Look how pretty the Grand Tetons are. So grand. Yay, you saw a bear in the background. I've seen bear poop. I will say that. They do poop. And so this is all around me. All around. This is what I was looking at. Right here. There's the sun. No clouds anywhere. And there's a lake called Lake Jenny. And that is over that way. I was there, that's where I ran into those people from Colorado. And that was a divine appointment. Anyways, pretty day. It's funny that there's like a little bit of cloud up there at the very top of the Tetons, at the grandest Teton. Earlier there was like no clouds, just like there. You just want to run up and jump on the top of that and sled all the way down. That would be so fun. This is my last day. Let me turn this back around. So this is my last day here at the Tetons. I am going to Idaho Falls, Idaho tonight. 7 o'clock, Freedom Night. Expecting a packed house at the Skyline Activity Center in Idaho Falls. So that will be fun. And then tomorrow doing training from 1 to 5. And then I'll be heading on to the Tri-Cities of Washington. Southeast Washington, Kennewick is one of those cities. Richland is another city. I'm trying to think of the third one. Anyway, it's supposed to be like 81 degrees there. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna miss these temperatures. I mean, it's so cool here. It's like you never sweat here. It's so pretty. I love snow. I've always loved snow. I don't like freezing cold temperatures, but you know, they have coffee here and they have a great barbecue place. If you ever come to Jackson, go to Bubba's Barbecue. It is by far the best barbecue. In fact, it's what it said. I tried one other barbecue place and it wasn't as good. So they have great brisket. They have great pecan pie. I'm hungry. Anyway, I was skipping my lunches in order to eat there, and it was worth it. So anyways, I just declare blessings over you guys. And in fact, I'll share this. So there's a guy that he and I have become some friends, I guess. He lives down in South Florida, and he's currently in Mexico doing ministry. And he saw my pictures of the mountains, and he said, "Hey, have you ever been to like Austria or Germany, or I think Switzerland?" And I'm like, "Nope, not yet." And I told him, about, how my books, I've got 3 now, thanks to Helmut Huneke. Happy birthday to Helmut. He lives in the Philippines, but he's German, because Helmut is a German name, not a Filipino name. And anyway, he's one that translated 3 of my books to German, amazingly. He's now translating a 4th one, Pure and Spotless. And so because of that, this guy apparently has been to Germany several times, and he said, "Hey, I want to connect you to a friend of mine from Germany, and I would love to have you come over there, go over there and do ministry." So anyways, we will see if that happens. He said that he wanted to, and if the Lord wants it to happen, it will happen. I am open. So God is good all the time. We have to just make sure that we align our lives with the Lord. Hear the Lord's voice, get delivered. Don't keep allowing the demons to torment us in our thoughts, so we can discern it, and then we are nicer people. Our personalities change to be happy and loving. Alrighty, well, I will let everyone go. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Facebook. Bye-bye.